Time now for a look at what's been grabbing headlines in the press around the world, joined once again on set by Florence. And Florence, you're starting in Thailand. Lots of focus on those multiple blasts this Friday morning.
That's right. Lots of confusion surrounding those blasts. Let's take a look at some Thai papers. The Nation is actually reporting on a blast last night in the southern province of Trang, which left at least one person dead. Now, the government has actually pointed to a business conflict as the possible motive and ruled out any links to insurgent groups. But that's just for that blast that happened last night. It's unclear whether that bombing is linked to a series of coordinated blasts that we've been seeing in the past couple of hours. If you take a look at the front page of the Bangkok Post's web page here, you can see they're reporting on the multiple blasts in the very popular resort town of Hua Hin, and there were other blasts in Phuket and elsewhere across the country. Several people killed, many people injured. You can see terror in Thailand. This is the Daily Mail reporting on the situation there. Now, the timing of this is very sensitive as Thais are marking a long weekend for the Queen's birthday, but it's a developing situation. More details to come.
OK, let's move on to some other news now. And tensions between Russia and the Ukraine over the Crimean Peninsula also grabbing headlines.
That's right. The Washington Post says that while the world is distracted, Vladimir Putin is escalating his war in Ukraine, taking advantage of the fact that the U.S. is distracted by the presidential campaign, Europe by, of course, all sorts of things, Brexit, etc., and the world, in fact, by the Olympic Games. Vladimir Putin is playing with fire again. Now, the Kremlin claims that a Russian Secret Service officer was killed by infiltrators over the weekend near the border between Crimea and Ukraine. It's unclear whether this is just a summer bluff, says the Washington Post, or a pretext to escalate war and invade Ukraine further.
The situation's getting lots of attention in both Russian and Ukrainian papers.
That's right. Moscow Times is trying to figure out just what happened over the weekend in Crimea. You can see incursion, desertion, skirmish. What happened? It's unclear. The Moscow Times looks at all the rumors that are flying around. The only thing that is clear is that there are reports of a military buildup along the border. Kiev Post really doesn't mince its words today. It has very harsh words for the Russian president. It's increasingly hard to understand why the civilized world puts up with Vladimir Putin, a menacing midget, according to the Kiev Post, who's a threat to global security, the rule of law, and peace. And so you can see their message to Western powers. It's time to toughen up when it comes to Russia.
OK, let's turn to the Olympics now. And there's anger over a Daily Beast article on gay athletes at the Olympic Village in Rio.
That's right. You can read about this in The Advocate, which is an American LGBT magazine. Now, yesterday, the Daily Beast published an article in which the author, straight white married man, discussed his adventures, as he called them, of conversing with male Olympic athletes on the gay hookup app Grindr. Now, the journal said he wrote this piece to kind of test the rumor that the Olympic Village is a hotbed for partying, hookups, and sex. Now, this article, which was, I guess, supposed to be a little light in tone, really sparked a lot of outrage. And you can see the advocate here saying that it's a very big invasion of privacy, that worse than that is actually quite a risk for closeted athletes, because the original version of the article provided details like nationality and physical descriptions that could have been used to out some of these athletes. And of course, remember, homosexuality is still illegal in many countries, so it would be dangerous, potentially, for some of these athletes. The article on the Daily Beast website was modified and then removed completely.
OK, let's end with something a little bit lighter. And one American swimmer has won gold and made history yet again.
That's right. This is Simone Manuel. She won the gold in the women's 100-meter freestyle and actually broke the Olympic record. Not only that, though, she became the first African-American woman to win an individual event in Olympic swimming. So it's a big deal. You can read about it here in the New York Times. Now, some people were a little bit upset about the fact that NBC, so the network that's broadcasting the Olympics in the U.S., didn't actually show her medal ceremony, where she received that medal. They didn't show that event live. And you can read, this is a website called Screen Grabber, which follows sporting events. it actually shows the fact that the BBC, so the British broadcaster, did show this incredible medal, historic medal ceremony live, while NBC was showing, this is what Screen Grabber says, it showed footage of Russians doing gymnastics badly. So they perhaps didn't get their priorities right when it came to this amazing ceremony. If you want to see the ceremony, you can actually see it on Screen Grabber's website here. Now, while we're talking about swimming news, we've been talking a lot about the pools at the Olympic Games in Rio. You might remember earlier this week the diving pool turned green because of a filter problem. Well, now it's the hair of a U.S. swimmer, Ryan Lochte. His hair has turned green. You can read about it here in People magazine, which has all the details. Essentially, he decided to dye his hair a frosty shade of blue before the Olympic Games, but it slowly morphed into a mossy seaweed green. And People says that this actually is not a problem with the filter in the swimming pool. It's that he actually apparently forgot the so-called cardinal rule of chlorine, which can turn dyed hair green, apparently, and he'll have lots of photos to remember this wonderful incident by. You can see him here. This is his Instagram showing him here actually kissing his gold medal. Maybe that's what he'll remember after all.
He's still very happy, though, despite his green hair.
It's very green.
Okay, Florence, thank you very much for that look at the international press this hour. Okay.